Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm Snappy Claus, and I'm here with none other than Cozy Snap. Cozy, Havok has been wreaking havoc across the meta of Marvel Snap. The newly released card has come out, and quite frankly, I think it's pretty cool. What do you think about Havok, Cozy?
Dude, thank you, Snappy Claus. Happy holidays, everyone listening. I hope that Havok, we get more cards just like him, because he is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult cards to use in the game. Because any card like this, I mean, we've seen this with Junk. We've seen the win rate of Junk decks been bad forever, right? Because when you give it to the mass majority, which we're seeing with Havok, the stats are horrible. Havok is so much micromanaging in your brain. When to play him, when to send him, what decks to put him in. Do you want your opponent to even have him? Do you want to put it in do you have him in the right location? He's Havok. He's causing havoc. On my brain cells, he's causing havoc in Snap. It's a card that I didn't want to like, almost. And then I ended up liking him the more and more I played him. Like, I had it out against him, like, in my early testing. Like, I was like, he's going to suck. He's going to suck. And then I kept being like, hey, I kind of like this a little bit. I kind of like this a little more. I still, if he wasn't a bad spotlight week, it would be an avoid for me, probably, like, ultimately, for, like, 99% of the player base. However, I think he works. I think there are some really cool decks. I think with Maximus's change, more powerful 2-costs like this, we can start to see kind of maybe a rise of a big 2-cost deck. The energy reduction and the flexibility of playing on 4 or 5 and capping your energy, bouncing that back, I kind of like them.
The bounce strategy was pretty cool. I thought that was a really creative approach to the deck building, Cozy, and I actually really liked it. My experience with Havok was super positive. It's people ask me, Alex, you seem to really like Havok. Should I get him? And my answer was always the same. Do I like Havok? Yes. Should you buy him? No. Like, honestly, because like it's one of those things where, like, first of all, you want to wait to see how the meta evolves around Havok, and like, ultimately, we say this all the time, right? You definitely want to wait till like the weekend to make a decision whether or not you want to purchase a card, right? Because like, I know you can get caught up in the FOMO, but like Havok's one of those cards you really want to see how the meta evolves over the week. Now, for me, what I ended up leaning towards was I was trying like the Havok kick over with Viper thing, and like it was fine. People usually just leave, right? But obviously that's been neutered, right? That's actually not going to be viable with the change to Viper, and it's kind of delaying it. It's still okay, but it's not as good as it once was. What I will say, though, is that the best deck that I was playing with Havok is this one that's on the screen right now, and I'll read it out to the audience here and the audio viewers. I was running a Havok deck, which was a Wave 5 Havok deck, which ran a Nebula, Nightcrawler, Havok and Goose, Jeff, Mr. Fantastic, Storm, Wave, Jessica Jones, and that's not an error. Jessica Jones did make this deck, Miss Marvel, Alioth, and Doctor Doom. The thing I loved about this deck is it was designed to deal with the blob-based Thanos meta. You lock out a location with Storm, you lock out another one with the Goose, and then you earn initiative, you take it on with Alioth, and blob doesn't even exist. Had a lot of success with this deck. In fact, during the Twitch drops, I played this deck for hours and hours and hours. We climbed about 30,000 ranks, and that's not a joke, about 30,000 ranks. I ran about a 59% win rate with it, and honestly, it was really strong. And the thing about Havok that was so good was that when you played on turn 5, you wave and you Havok, it gets the +4, but most importantly, on that next turn, I can still Alioth, I can still Doctor Doom, and I'm getting a Havok that goes +4. So if you think about Doctor Doom, it's 15 power across the board, but it may as well be 19 because Havok is rising. So it increases the value of that location. Absolutely loved Wave 5 with Havok.
The +4 that he gets, people are just underestimating it all the time. They forget about it. They do. I've won so many games that people, because they just forgot he keeps climbing, right? Even I forget at times. And I want to kind of touch on that. You play him on turn 4, he's protected from Shang-Chi, but he goes to 12 power. You play him on turn 5, or on turn 6, if he gets Shadow Kinged, no big deal. He still goes up to +4. Only card that can do that, right? In a sense. Valkyrie, he goes up to 7, wins the lane. He's got some protection against those cards. What I loved, and I love the fact that you went that route. I went the bounce route, and why I recommend people against it is, even as somebody who plays the game all the time, bounce is truly, just like move nowadays, you have to be all in on the archetype. It's the hardest, in my opinion, to really play at the most competitive level. And then you're adding this card to that equation. When Chavez, the nerf happened, Darkhawk Bounce, one of the best decks, got a major hit. And ever since then, there's been kind of this Annihilus Bounce deck that's been doing pretty hot. And it's a decent place to play Havok. But for me, you need one last finisher card. And that's where Legion just made all the sense in the world, because you have all these cheap cards. Legion kind of helps out the locations that you need to buff up. or change those locations to get rid of the Crimson Cosmos. Maybe you put there's a lot of instances where I love Legion there, and you can kind of swap out that 5-drop for other things that you might want to throw in there. Havok's a tough card to play. Let's get that straight. But I think ultimately, I like him, and I would like to see more cards where ultimately they look bad, but they have kind of a high IQ overall. Certainly, though, he's not for a good chunk of the player base.
The thing I kind of came to terms with as I played the card was in this particular deck that I was talking about, you just don't play him early. You have to play him on turn 5. And that's a little bit restrictive, right? You play him early, then everything falls apart. But with the turn 5 wave, he makes sense. Then again, you're like, well, Alex, that's a pretty heavy restriction. Yes, it is. I'm not playing a zoo deck with a Squirrel Girl and a whole bunch of other stuff that I can just throw out with 3 power. I get it, right? But at the same time, it's a very functional deck that uses this card to really good effectiveness. And the thing that I love that you touched on is that the floor on Legion is surprisingly high because it is resistant to Valkyrie. It is resistant to Shadow King. And this is something that wasn't really touched on prior. It does bounce up to 4 power. It will reach under Goose and go to 2/8. It's incredible what it's capable of doing. And yes, it's restrictive, but I think it's a temptation restriction where like you have Havok and you're like, it's turn 2. I have a 2-drop. I play him, right? I play him, right? No, you don't. You don't play him, right? And that's the restriction. But you have that incredible verticality that I think is really rare in Snap at a 2-drop. It's just, I like the card. I don't know what else to say. I really like it.
He's great in locations. He wins flooding. He wins big house. You know, he has a lot of locations that like he can just win outright. The last thing I want to touch on, the biggest debate is do you Viper him? And I'm always on the no Viper. That whole thing was overhyped with Martyr and all that stuff too. Guys, it's a yes, but only if you have the tech cards to do it. The reason why we did the Viper in the balance deck build and why it was so successful is Shadow King and Shang-Chi are both in that deck. So now even with Viper now, it's tougher and much tougher at that because getting him out on 3 was crucial because you don't want to lose the energy. You end up taking the hit with Viper still at times, right? Depending on how it plays out and when you have to play Havok down. But if you play him on 3, you are able to go ahead and Shang-Chi him or you Shadow King him and you do have an answer. Because kicking that Havok over is like really good for them too. They have a big power card. You have to have a way to deal with it. And over time, I found over like 100+ games that I ended up enjoying that, good amount.
For me, the kicking over of Havok kind of died with the change to Viper.
Yeah.
Because like you had Ravonna, you had Psylocke that you're able to get it on turn 3 for the exact reason why you mentioned you don't want to eat that energy, right? Now, the decks that are often being utilized there often have a top end of Annihilus, so if you lose 1 energy, you can still do your thing. However, it means you can't turn 6 Annihilus and a Demon, for instance. Like it does, you pay a price. You pay a price when you lose energy in Marvel Snap. And usually you snap into it, you kick it over, they retreat, and you smile on your face, and that's fine. The change to Viper, I do think, takes it down a little bit. I would rather see Havok used as a 5-head, 2/8 power card from 5 and 6, turns 5 and 6. For me, that's where it fits the best. And maybe it's best for the meta that the Viper play is actually not as good as it could have been. Like, it actually was pretty good on the original version of Viper. Yeah. But now that everything changed and everything's been modified, I feel like a lot came off it. Maybe that's not a bad thing, Cozy. I'm just throwing it out there.
It was one of the first times we've ever had a Havok in review or a card in review, and the OTA affected the card in review on the first days played and then later. It's like a weird card in review kind of thing that we have to do. But you know what? We're going to have to see how Havok ages overall. And let's go and talk about it, though. People think he's one of the worst cards in the game. Let's talk about the top 10 worst cards, dude, in Snap history.
All right, Cozy, now we're getting into the subject that I've been waiting for one might say an entire calendar year, and that's to discuss at the end of this year, 2023, the worst cards in Marvel Snap's history as they stand today and as they stood back in the day at release, even in the beta in some circumstances. There's cards on this list that have been disgusting for literally since the moment Marvel Snap was released, and we're going to be talking about them in a top 10 ranked order. Now, we're doing something a little different here, Cozy. How do we change the format ever so slightly?
Yeah, so we're going to do it together. I think there's, because here's the thing. We're going to have a lot of the same ones, I think. Like, right? Like, I was even thinking of it when we transitioned to the other screen. I was like, what card do I even have? I don't even know where this is going to rank on our list, but I was like, this has been the flavor topic for a while, so we're going to have Martyr as the disgusting card for now. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. We have our list combined, guys, for the top 10 worst cards in Marvel Snap history. Now, this is like, also, can we please buff these cards? Pretty much every card on this list needs some type of a buff. Maybe not Martyr if she ends up on it, but other cards, maybe so. Alex, do we have any honorable mentions to kick it off with?
Yeah, let's kick it off with our honorable mentions, Cozy. Once again, this is a list that we both have decided on here together, which was actually a ton of fun off screen too. Honorable mentions, can we talk about Morph? I was never sure where to actually put Morph. Like, is this card just straight up terrible, or is it just meant to never actually be played competitively? Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't sure how to place Morph.
Morph to me, Morph was one that I didn't have on my list. Like, there was a couple where I was like, I don't know if I see it that way. Because, like, it's almost like the martyr effect, where it's like, it just needs to exist almost and stuff. Like, he's so perfectly bad and good and loses and wins. Like, if you're a Morph player, you're casual and you're having a good time, right? Like, he's the ultimate content card. But as far as, like, just, like, not competitive, yeah, like, he probably is not on anybody's list.
Yeah, and what about M'Baku? Like, not having M'Baku in this list was kind of heartbreaking for me. Like, listen, I've tried to make M'Baku work. Like, I got this Pixel M'Baku that I've been committing to try to get, like, an ink split on. Like, it's hard when you're just losing game after game after game, and he's literally, like, always in your hand. So M'Baku, look at that, that's the same Pixel that I'm trying to get split there. Yeah. I just can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Just when you don't even make Cerebro 2 most of the time, unless you're just trying to have a good time, you know he's bad. I feel like all these cards are just fun content plays, you know what I mean? Like, in general. But what's not a fun content play, and after the smart decks came out, Glenn, you've been sleeping on this secret deck with Spider-Man 2099. And then the smart decks came out, Alex. I'm like, here we go. I have every card in the freaking game. Surely this will make the secret sauce of the 2099 deck. Doesn't exist. Not there. It's not. Listen, he doesn't make the top 10, but clearly this is not a banger card. This is not even had, like, some of these cards even today, like, they may have had, like, a small heyday in some kind of list. Not 2099. Never.
Yeah, like a good example of that is like a Yellow Jacket, right? Yellow Jacket had its moment where, like, it's been a pretty awful card, but it had its moment with that Jane Foster list. That actually was Glenn's list, right? That kind of came onto the scene. Like, and it's been terrible other than that. Exact one deck for 2 weeks where it was playable. But yeah, Spider-Man 2099, it just never quite kind of made it. And another honorable mention we have to make here, is Uatu. I wanted to include Uatu in the top 10, but I actually play Uatu every once in a while when I get a little lubricated off the eggnog, and I gotta tell you, it's bad. It's not good, but it's not as bad as you probably think it is. It can be helpful sometimes, I gotta tell you.
I love the word lubricated. I think of inebriated. Lubricated is just like such a good word. Okay. Good honorable mentions, man, but they don't even come close. They don't come close to what we thought were the top 10 worst cards in Marvel Snap. Buff these cards, Glenn Jones, please, we beg you. Going into the new year. Kick us off, Alex, number 10.
Number 10, she's in a bundle. She's got some of the best variants in the game, and you'd hope she's going to get buffed eventually. It's Elektra. Elektra at number 10. This card is complete filth. It almost could have risen higher, but there was one saving grace. There have been times, specifically when, like, back in the day, early Marvel Snap launch, when Sunspot was everywhere. We talked about Sunspot on your side as an honorable mention. And Elektra actually had a role to play there, because sometimes on turn 5 or 6, you can just Elektra just snipe that Sunspot, and they're like, wow, my 9 Sunspot's dead. What do I do now, right? Yeah. But outside of that, this card's a straight up trash heap.
Yeah, dude, it's just not a great card. In fact, like, even the animations are great. The pop-out effect with her leg there kind of looks weird. But besides the point, the thing about Elektra is Glenn Jones just mentioned it. He was like, we're still trying to figure out what to do with her. There were whispers, I remember. Somebody once said, like, do you think she could destroy a 2-drop? And at the time, I kind of almost wish they kept that, but then, like, Luke Cage, Elsa, all those stayed the same. They're kind of dealing with 2-drops their own way now with the nerfs, so maybe not that anymore. I don't know. I think, like, we maybe get out of our heads that she's a 1-drop. Maybe she could do something else entirely. And anytime, like, we saw it with Wolverine, anytime there's a new Destroy card, we love it, right? So it could be interesting, but for now, I don't play this card. I never play it. Like, I have 4 variants with Elektra, and I have 130 boosters. I think that's, like, and I've been playing Snap for a year and a half. I think that's all you need to know. Yeah,
it's basically everything you need to know. First of all, I think we're the ones that said the destroy 2-drop thing. I think there's a little bit of deja vu there. But one thing I will say is Elektra might also be kind of victim of the new player experience, right? Because, like, she will feel good in, like, that, like, I'm learning how to play Snap. Oh, look, it's a Kazoo deck on the other side. Elektra, yay. Like, I there's that probably element to it, but competitively, this card sucks. Number 9, Cozy, bring us in to our number 9 worst card in Marvel Snap's history.
Okay, so it's Mantis, but it's not even the Mantis of past. I think the 1-cost Mantis was actually like playable is a stretch, but it was better than it is now. A 2/3 Mantis, dude, this card is getting 0 play. None. This is such a bad card from start to finish. Now, if Blob continues to rain down, maybe you get a little Blob counter in there. That's about the only thing I could think of her use. As a 1, I'm like, you could maybe make something to come together in Conquest or Jean Grey deck, something. 2/3, complete trash. Mantis is garbage. And really, like, I don't think we have any others on the list. Just the Guardians of the Galaxy outside of Gamora almost feel underwhelming. They just, like, it's such an iconic group. They're so cool. I get that they had one heyday. But, like, Mantis, who has some of the best variants in the game, we got to figure something out with them. And Mantis leads the pack as one of the worst.
Yeah, Mantis is an absolute trash heap. Like, not only does the effects suck, it's kind of like it's standard statted. And not only that, but you have to soul read your opponent where basically they can play on 3 locations on turn 2 or 3 or whatever. Like, it's so hard. Like, when you're playing Goliath, like, you're locking things down. You got all these predictable elements. Mantis, you're like, LOL, 33% to, I guess, draw cards from their deck.
Okay, actually, here's a good point, though. What if they gave every Guardian of the Galaxy card outside of Gamora, because she's just great stats, okay? An ability plus the power gain. So Star-Lord, rework him completely. Mantis goes to 2/5, and you take a card. Groot does X and does X. You know what I mean? Then you are like, you have to soul read, but you get a big payoff. You get 2 things cooking at once. I kind of like that.
Yeah, so Lizard just dies, I guess. What
You have to soul read it, though. It's tough, you know?
Oh, you're saying she gets buffed. I understand. I thought you meant she was just a 2/5. I'm like, what happens to the Lizard then?
Yeah,
Like,
Lizard dies. Yeah, no. She can become a 2/5 like Star-Lord, and then also she gets, you'd have to take her to like a 2/2.
Okay.
And you get the effect. Groot's the same. He gets the, he would go up to 6 or whatever, and then Groot also gave nearby cards +1. Like, they combined, and you get rewarded on the soul read.
I like that. And you're right. Like, it's such an iconic, I mean, there's other iconic cards on this list too, right? But Guardians of the Galaxy specifically are so iconic. They have been kind of done dirty. And Mantis has always felt terrible. Like, there's just never been, like, name one deck you'd play Mantis in.
None. That's
exactly
the correct answer. Yeah, number 8, Alex.
Number 8, this is where we chose Martyr. Martyr has been absolutely disgusting. The card, I mean, we joked about, like, someone's going to try and figure it out. People tried, and no, it has not been figured out. In every single deck that I tried, like, I did the whole Shauna, Dazzler, you got nowhere to move, Martyr, you can't lose me the game. Card still sucks, because it still found ways to lose the game. Like, it's just, the text is, I actually think the text is pretty cool. I like the text. I like the flavor of it, too. Like, I kind of like the idea. But, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, I almost would like to see this card being like a 1 negative something, and then, like, you kick it onto their side. Like, I'd rather it be a junk card. I think that'd be more interesting and
so
still
bad.
flavorful.
It's
just
bad.
the card sucks, man.
It's so bad. It's like, if this was at the launch of the game, this card would have been reworked in like 9 OTAs by now. It's just a garbage card, and like, there's no point to play. I hate this. Like, as we go up the list, like, you'll just see the hate continue. Now, there are some cards that we put higher because it's like who the hero or character is, what they deserve to be. They're bad as well. Martyr just sucks. We hate her. She's not good. She's just here for X-Mansion bad roles, I guess, moving forward. Moving on. I can't even think about her anymore. At number, what are we at? 7 here?
Yeah, we're at number 7, and one of the most powerful heroes in Marvel as a whole, but one of the worst cards, he knew right away. It's Adam Warlock. I mean, and here's the thing. One of the most powerful effects in the game. Like, really. Like, honestly, like, this is a tremendously powerful effect. But as a 2/0, like, this card has never seen play. It's never seen the light of day. And there's been chances where, like, actually, ironically, in, like, the Nebula Guardian season, like, early kind of, pen and paper decks, it was, okay, maybe we can use Adam Warlock, and we Star-Lord, and we Drax, LOL, and all this stuff, and we feed them into this location, and then I ultimately never worked, because you're still playing a 2/0 in a game where you need power to win the board. Like, what are you going to do with Adam Warlock?
Dude, they gave him the MCU treatment, where they're like, let's just not put him in the Infinity Saga. Like, it's like, let's just not put him in Snap. It is truly, like, I think last week someone asked us on the Snapchat, like, what's one hero is disserviced? It's Adam Warlock. It's how do you have this character so bad within the game is beyond me. It was Hulk for a while, then we got the evil Hulk. He needs to do something better. He needs to do something in general. Maybe give him +1 per turn somehow. Maybe give him +1 per turn and nothing for no reason. And he's just a 2-5 at the end. And then you have to like challenge. We've talked about it. We tried to figure him out. A 2-1 will win you it at first. Maybe you do that, and you just try to soul read where they're not going to play. He needs something, Alex, because he's too iconic and he's too trash. He's played very little, and even if you're playing him in negative, like, congratulations, you could be playing a better card. Adam Warlock's not it.
No, I know. And the only kind of moment where I played him a few times, the only reason why I have any boosters of him at all, was with Bast. Like, I tried to play him with Bast, and, like, he could feel good. Like, he feels good when you Bast him on turn 1, and then on turn 2, you play an Adam Warlock that's a 2-3. Yes, that is the one time where Adam Warlock doesn't feel like an absolute trash heap. But, honestly, in every Bast deck, he just doesn't make the cut because, like, he's inconsistent, and there's just way better options all the time. And those types of decks, whether they're Cerebro decks or whatever, have very specific cards that need to exist, and Adam Warlock just doesn't make the cut.
He didn't even make Ravonna builds, and Ravonna like could have loved this card, and that's how you know. It's like, if he's not making Ravonna builds, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Guys, oh my. So we've been talking because we can't even remember. I try to delete Alt-4 this F4 this thing from my effing brain. Baron Mordo. Not exactly an iconic character in Marvel, and definitely not an iconic character in Marvel Snap. Did he get buffed once upon a time?
Yeah, so while we were making this list, it was funny. I'm like, Coccia, I think this is the buffed version of Baron. Coccia's like, Baron's got to get buffed eventually. I'm like, I think he has been buffed. He was worse before. I don't even remember the effect. Like, that's how bad he was.
Did he
I still don't remember the effect.
Did he give you a draw and it was a cost to 6? No, dude.
It was always something they drew.
He sucks.
It was always bad. I still don't know.
He's so bad, dude. He's such a trash card. Like, but the fact that like you have to even play this guy to play Ronin, even at that, isn't that good. Baron is so bad. Like, even in drafts, even on X Mansion, I'm just like, great. I gave them a draw. Yeah, he's trash.
Yeah, and I think it's sad to say that, like, I was experimenting with Ronin quite a bit, like maybe a month or two, no, 2 months now. And I cut Baron from my like Ronin list. I was running Crystal instead. I was running like everything else except Baron because the card is an absolute trash heap. But like, there is something to be said, like, if it's a Silver Surfer meta and you just turn their Silver Surfer into a 6, like, okay, yeah, that could be impactful. But you don't know what you're hitting. The stat line is just fine. And you're right, Cozy. You're still just drawing them a card. And I love playing Baron on turn 2 and then them snapping. Because like, oh, they just drew a Lith. Like, great, cool, awesome, right? Yeah, this card, if it's already been buffed, it was not buffed enough. It's still super sad. It's not iconic in MCU. It's not iconic in Marvel. It's not iconic pretty much anywhere. And there's a good chance this card just stays forgotten. Like, I don't even know if it ever gets buffed again.
Yeah, I'm running out of words for like hot garbage. I gotta keep coming up with like trash crap, whatever it might be. Next up, dude, we've got Strong Guy. Pre-buff Strong Guy. Now, buff Strong Guy isn't like much crazier, but pre-buff Strong Guy was consistently the worst card in Snap, even by the stats. On the play rate, on everything around him, not a great card. He has one time to shine, and it's right there with Elektra. It's at the very beginning of your Marvel Snap experience when you can actually get away with like a Blade deck trying to get the hand empty and do Kazoo. You got the Strong Guys at the zoo, as a lot of people call it. That's about it.
Yeah, this card's been terrible the entire time. I mean, like, it's just been so unplayable. The effect is so hard to trigger. And it's even worse now that Chavez got changed, right? Like, it's even worse. And so, like, what do you even do with this card now? Like, it's just dead in the water. It was bad then. It's terrible now. I honestly don't know. Like, does anyone even want Strong Guy to be relevant? Like, I don't think so, right? Like, could it be a card that just never exists ever again in the meta? Like, is everyone fine with that?
No, actually, people love Strong Guy, and I kind of do too. Like, he is kind of cool in Marvel. I saw that eye roll over there. You know, I saw a little like, who likes Strong Guy? There's a guy I saw at the very beginning of Snap made a video whenever Snap came out, like why Strong Guy should be better and like what would fit his like skill set more. It was kind of a good watch. I have no idea what it was. Someone's gonna have to go find. I think Nando at the movies. I don't know. Either way, Strong Guy's trash. We know it, and maybe he'll be better one day. Alex, what could possibly be worse than that?
Well, there are cards Cozy. Four more cards, in fact, that are worse than Strong Guy pre-buff. I can't even, like, saying Strong Guy pre-buff is even funny in itself because it's like, wait, it got buffed, it still sucks. Number 4 is a card that could arguably be even higher, but it is an absolute trash heap. One of the worst cards in the game, but apparently beneficial to the new player experience. Cozy, it is Quicksilver, the card that always starts in your hand. I thought M'Baku always started in your hand, but apparently by text, it's actually Quicksilver. One of the worst cards in Marvel Snap.
He's so bad. We have a common theme. We're saying a lot of times, like, hey, the new player experience. I mean, there's new players in the game, but just how, like, is it worth Quicksilver being complete? Like, there's a lot of cards in the game that I'm like, maybe one day, I don't think Quicksilver ever gets buffed, ever. I think this is it. This is the trash heap we get forever.
This effect is unique enough. It's okay that a card occupies this effect, even if the card sucks. But, like, does it really destroy the game if he's a 1/3? Like, does that actually destroy the game? Maybe it does. Maybe actually that tips the balance of the thing. But, like, remember, Quicksilver in your opening hand, it denies a draw. It's not like Agatha. Agatha's an extra card in your hand. Quicksilver denies the draw. It's like the opposite of the Chavez effect, right?
Oh, if you
become less likely to draw your cards. Like, it's actually really bad from that perspective. And the thing that actually is in the back of my mind that's kind of funny, Cozy, 100% there's going to be like Quicksilver truthers in the comments. Like, I know it's going to happen, right? There's going to be someone in the comments who's like, FYI, Quicksilver's actually broken. Terrible card. And no, he's not. This card is complete trash. If you are playing Quicksilver right now, you need to stop immediately and put literally anything else in your deck.
Anything. Martyr. Just try something else because of the draw mechanic. They could never make you draw and you get him in the opening hand. That'd be the most busted thing in the world at that point. And everyone's only playing Quicksilver at that point. He becomes one of the best cards in Marvel Snap. Like, it's so funny how that little text changes it, right? Because you would give him the Chavez effect at that point, in a sense, to thin the deck, and that's exactly what they're avoiding, so they will never do it. Next up is kind of more of a recent one, per se. It's OG Snowguard, Alex Snowguard. You never saw her. These variants are amazing. Guess what? You never saw it, because when you played her, she would either go, she'd either go to the Hawk or the Bear. So, like, you didn't even get to control what these effects do. And, like, you could, like, top, roll or high roll the Snowguard Hawk. And you're like, cool. But then you would get the Bear. And you're like, I wasn't even trying to get that effect on this location. So bad that, like, people call, like, oh, Nico's coming out. Will she have the Snowguard effect? Right? I saw even the top players whiff Nico because they thought it was going to be Snowguard. And, like, what Snowguard brought to the game. Travesty of a card. And they finally did it right by releasing a buff alongside her, and thank God, because this was a Series 5 card.
You're right. Actually, the original Snowguard was analogous to what Nico is now. Not from a power standpoint, but from a mechanic standpoint. She effectively just switched in your hand to the Bear, the Hawk, or whatever, right? And it never had the consistency you wanted, and the effects weren't actually that strong. They just weren't that great. So there was just never any reason to play Snowguard. Absolute trash heap card. And then when it got changed, it became one of my favorite cards in the game. Like, this is actually one of the redemption arcs of Marvel Snap. Like, that's a whole other conversation, but Snowguard literally gives me hope for the rest of the cards that we're talking about on this list, because Snowguard was one of the worst cards in the game, unplayable. I remember seeing like people tweeting at me. I remember Reddit posts of people like literally like, I'm uninstalling the game. I got my Series 5 card. Remember when like you only got one like every like 1,000 something collection levels? I got my one Series 5 card and it's Snowguard. GG, I'm out. Like literally every day that was on Reddit. And so when it got changed, and it was just before it entered the Spotlight caches, I think, it was like awesome. It was like, yes, they did it. They fixed Snowguard. It was a ton of fun. And I'm trying to remember, she got nerfed, didn't she? Like, she got changed. Yeah, because the Snowguard, because they used to be 2 costs.
Yeah, the Bear, and which was even more busted at that point. So, like, even with the nerf, she's still good. She's still playable. Thank God they changed that, but easily is like the redemption arc of there's still hope for a lot of these cards out there, Alex. We got 2 more.
We do.
Technically,
and I
3.
mean, in the comments, people got to know what they are. Like, they got to be guessing.
They got to be guessing. And we're going to combine them together a little bit with one really stealing the show. Guys, the Punisher, and then we're going to throw in Captain America. Captain America is usable to some small, very small extent but because of his notoriety, it's my number one card I want buffed in Snap. The number one on the list is Captain America because I need to see that iconic character. It's a travesty that he's still bad. It's kind of hilarious he's still bad. For new players coming in, you talk about new player experience, and one of the most iconic heroes is trash. But then there's Punisher. That's a whole new level of garbage.
First of all, Cozy's drunk. Captain America is actually not our top. There's one worse than that. He's looking at the list. You forgot about the worst card in Marvel Snap's
No,
history,
I know
buddy.
that. Yeah, no. We're doing the Punisher and Captain together, and then number one. We have number one.
So we have 2 for number 2.
Yeah.
So you just did that again. You just added multiple. Okay, just for the record, I did not do this. Cozy Snap adding multiple cards to a single slot in a top 10.
I'm
always blamed for this.
I had to put Captain in there. I had to sneak him in
you know,
there.
Cap does deserve some special mention there too. He should have been an honorable mention, really. But yeah, Cap is the one that we really want to see buff. Like that is truly the one that, like, come on. One of the most iconic, like my son went out as Halloween as Captain America, a little Canadian boy with a Captain America shield, as American as America is, running around, yelling, throwing the shield around. Like, yes, this is what people like love about Marvel, and he sucks. He's terrible. But Punisher, like, I think Punisher's worse than Cap.
Oh yeah,
Punisher's 100% worse than Captain America. This card just sucks so friggin' bad. It's unbelievable.
But Alex, what's the worst card in Marvel Snap?
I mean, I think that everyone knows the worst card in Marvel Snap's history. In fact, it blows my mind this card has never been changed. At the one cost, it's Angel. Angel, one of the least playable cards in Marvel Snap. One of the least satisfying effects in Marvel Snap. One of the reasons why Destroy sucks until like basically Series 3. Like, Destroy is borderline unplayable because this card sucks so unbelievably bad. And it's a shame because he's legit like one of the most iconic Marvel heroes. Listen, you open up the first like Marvel comic book, and I'm almost 99% positive Angel's like on the front page. Like Angel's there. It's Angel's one of the originals, and it's like he's so bad. And it's so sad because, like, we've talked about in the past, like, there's got to be ways that you can use Angel. Like, imagine the Angel existed. We're like, oh, they're playing Goliath on me, and Goliath's going to destroy my unrevealed cards. And Angel comes out of your deck and just takes it for the team. You know? That would be so good. It would be so good. It comes out of your hand and takes it for the team. Goliath, take me instead, Angel says,
dude,
as he looks up into the sky.
We almost talked about this a year ago, like this exact, but we're like, this would be so cool. It'd be great for Angel. Nope. He's just sucked this long. He's been trashed this long. And they even said, well, we've got a lot of our VFX teams working on the game modes. We can't get to Angel because he would require VFX. Hey, guess what? It's time. We got to get him. The VFX are ready. Show me Angel. Show some love for Angel. Borderline, him, by the way, and Electra have so good backgrounds. Like, it was just taking that in. I never see him. Never get to see the backgrounds because I never see him play. Angels.
Dude, this guy looks exactly like you. I never see this variant. Like, it's literally you in a jumpsuit here. Like, if this was like Captain Canada Cozy, like, you would wear a suit like that. Like, look at he looks like you actually,
and abs,
you're cut like that.
Yeah. Well, my quads are a little smaller. The 10 abs is what really gives it away. And then he's got the muscles on the muscles. When you have these side muscles, like, dude, you got to find other hobbies but the gym. You're yoked. You are big boy. Angels, complete garbage, and he rounds out our list as the top card that's just hot trash. Santa's dump. Horrible. Absolutely
horrible. Worst card in Marvel Snap's history. Cozy, you know what time it is.
Mail time.
Mailbag time. It's mail time. That's
Mailbag.
Right. It's I was gonna say Tim the Toolman Mailbag Taylor, but that doesn't make any sense at all. I messed up the reference.
That eggnog, man, is hitting you hard over there.
It's hitting really hard here.
What do we got? What are the questions? Last time we caught a little heat from some people liked our responses. I like that. I like the heat. I'm ready for it. What do we got?
Question number 1 for our mailbag segment comes from JME, and it reads, what would you want them to add to the autofill feature to make it even better? Mine would be to have the ability to say what cards you want to leave out of decks on purpose. Cozy actually showed the perfect example of why I want this feature added by trying the autofill to replace Iron Lad. That was in your video, actually. I watched that video, Cozy. Smashed the like button as I always do. And I was like, oh, Cozy has a point about this auto deck fill feature. So, Cozy, why don't you answer the question from JME?
What's the question?
I know. Basically, the question is how would you improve the auto deck feature? But they also said, like Cozy said already, like exclude cards.
yeah. What past Cozy said. I think they did pretty good. Make the variants the ones you chose. Don't know who thought it was a good idea to do random variants in there. And then other than that, maybe Honestly, I think it's good outside of that. Maybe a bit more variance per se on that. And like, if you take a card out, maybe it registers that, or you can X cards out that you don't want included, so it can make it a bit more specific. I don't want the same Killmonger in my Surfer deck. You want something different. That would probably be my take.
I have a small quality of life feature that like I would love in the auto deck feature. I would love if it told you somewhere, just in small text, when the day was the sample was taken. Like data as of like February, whatever. Like it would be so cool if you generated the deck and it said data as of, and it said like the prior day or something to let you know that you're getting data that's relatively new. I think that would increase the confidence in the deck builder that people could be having. And you know what? Like there could be times where it's like, give me a Martyr deck, and it's like, oh, best deck as of, and it's like 2 weeks prior because no one's playing Martyr. And like I think that would be a very cool transparency feature that would increase confidence in the deck builder overall.
Yeah, dude, I like it for sure. That'd be cool. And like, man, I would make like Excel sheets with that bad boy, just getting like all the data together. Hit me with the next question.
Question number 2 comes from Juan Carlos, and it reads, I have a daughter, 10 years old, and we share the love of Marvel Snap since its release. Now we share Marvel and board game as passions. Alex, what hobbies do you share with your children? And Cozy, what hobbies would you like to share with your kid when he's a little more grown up?
I was going to say, I think mine's like sucking on like a wooden hammer downstairs. So like not a lot going on over there. But yeah, man, it's tough because it's like, I feel like I've answered this in the hobbies that I do. Naturally, I think you want your kids to pursue hobbies that you do as well. For me, I'm definitely going to be coaching my kids in sports, right? So like I'm a big sport nut. So we already got him in soccer. I already looked into it. 1-year-old soccer. I have no idea that's going to work. He's probably going to be just literally just rolling around on the grass. But coaching and taking an interest in whatever sport he chooses. If he doesn't do sports, quick prayer there that he does. But if he doesn't do sports, then, just like being there as like a figure that can lead in whatever that he wants to take interest in for sure. Surfing, skateboarding, those things as well. Being a daredevil, his mom would hate it, but I love it.
Getting out there. I like that. I don't know if you would know this, by the way, but I coached soccer for like 15 years. I got like a whole bunch of certifications in it. I actually used to coach be part of the Toronto FC Youth Academy program, where I would teach like little kids. Particularly, I worked with young goalkeepers.
No way.
Yeah.
Man.
So if you ever need any advice or help with coaching soccer, my man, just let me know.
You look like a soccer coach. You know what I mean? I can look at you. Like if I was driving next to you and I looked over and I saw you and I was like, that guy looks like a soccer coach. That's what I would say.
Sometimes I look like a paintball coach. Sometimes I look like a Santa Claus, and I guess sometimes I look like a soccer coach, depending on the day.
Yeah. They're all kind of they're all around Costco. They all kind of just one echo center around Costco.
Yeah, so with my kids, I mean, my daughter's 7, so like right now, like for instance, for Christmas, I don't want to say it too loud, but I got her this like board. It's like an introduction to Pokemon, like the actual trading card game, where it's like a little like a board.
Yeah. My brother got that. Yeah, for his daughter.
Yeah, so I got it for my daughter too, because I want to start playing that with her and introduce her to board games specifically, because I think it's a really social thing. I actually told my wife, like, hey, like I actually want to start doing like family board game nights, because I think that'd be cool once the kids get a little older. 2 of my 3 sons they're 4 and 2, and the best they can do, we put on Super Smash Brothers and they just button mash. My favorite thing is my 2-year-old, once he like runs off the screen, he throws the controller. He's already tilting. He's like, no. And he just throws the controller. I'm like, that controller's expensive. Okay, you're not getting the Nintendo Switch Pro controller anymore there, buddy. Right. And then my other guys like you, he's like just playing with little, like he's just hitting toys. He's like 7 months old. So, but I'm looking forward to it, honestly, and I really do hope that my kids kind of take on some of my passions. One funny thing I'll mention though, is my daughter with her iPad, she'll walk around and like make videos and stuff, and she'll talk like a YouTuber.
Oh,
like I'll hear her finish her video and say, "Make sure to like and subscribe." You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I love that. I'm gonna grab my kid and be like, "Don't do YouTube. You don't know." No, I definitely. I think it's only natural. Like, I looked at what my dad did and took an interest in that, so it's only natural that I'm sure, if I'm still doing this, that my son's really going to get into YouTube and filming, and I'm going to definitely teach him, different traits. But a lot of the things that I learned was just by like following my dad and his people skills. And I think that's also, something I hope he picks up as well.
All right, Cozy, the next question comes from Andrew, and it reads, I've noticed that the hardest weekend quest for free-to-play and season pass only players is the win with the new card quest, since we have to pick and choose which new cards we go for and sometimes even then miss. Yet the prize for that is what we covet the most, collector's tokens. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Oh, man, some of these I feel like sometimes can be like bait questions because I have the people's answer, right? Like, yeah, make them easier, and then the realistic one too. Like, guys, I don't want to be the guy that's just going to be the politician that tells you everything you want to hear because I just don't know if it'll always happen. They did it with Cyclops, and I would like to see it more often. There was one where I believe you got collector tokens if you played Cyclops in your deck. That was awesome. Do that a little bit more, and I think that solves the answer. I think it's fine to do the new card, rewards you a little bit of a kickback for getting it, but add in some of these other cards that have synergy with that card to promote you trying to learn the mechanics around it without actually getting it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree. I think that's happening when there's the season pass launch. So there's no new card for that week, like no spotlight new card, right? So they'll add Cyclops or something like that in there. And I'm all for that. I agree. And maybe a good just quality of life change would be on that week because anybody can play it, maybe just double the reward for that week. Like if it's 200 every other week, maybe make that week 400.
Yep.
And really, okay, wow, you're giving up 200 extra tokens, but I think it's a good faith move for your audience. And I feel like maybe that would just kind of be a positive thing for people overall. It is a challenge though. I totally understand, but let's not forget, I feel like it was only a few months ago on the Snapchat that we were lamenting at how bad these weekend missions were because they stripped the gold out of the spotlight cache. And don't worry guys, weekend missions were coming and they were just so garbage. I remember for the first 3 weeks, I didn't even do them. I was like, I'm not doing this. This is horrible. Listen, I play this game a lot, right? And I'm like, I don't want to do these stupid ass weekend missions. So they finally fixed them quite a bit. So they're way better than they used to be.
Yeah.
Could they be improved like everything else, of course?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Cozy, my favorite question on this Christmas day comes from Super Luigi, and it reads, honestly speaking, can you say to Santa that you've been good boys this year?
No. And yeah, I like to think it's kind of like are you morally good? I think, Alex, you're a good guy. Maybe you every now and then, I don't know, cut in front of somebody at the Costco line. Maybe
Never. I would never cut in front of anyone. Are you kidding me? I'm at the self-checkout. I'm letting old ladies pass me. I'm doing it for them. I'm like, come on, guys.
You'd lose your code of honor,
I'll help
you. Yeah.
I'll get that huge bag of dog food for you. Don't worry, man.
You'd lose your customer of the month. I know you are on their wall with the big portrait of Alex Coccia, customer of the month.
That's right.
You can't lose that. Can't lose that.
Yeah,
I've been a good boy. I'm telling you, you're Snappy Claus. I think I've been a good boy, man. You, Alex?
Ho, ho, ho. Yes, I can with absolute confidence say that Alex Coccia has been a very good boy this year. He didn't ask for much this year. He simply asked for some glasses that his best friend Cozy Smap wouldn't make fun of. And unfortunately, Cozy Smap did make fun of Alex and now is on the naughty list. So Cozy has lied. Cozy, in fact, on the naughty list for insulting Alex's paintball instructor glasses that he needs to functionally operate in front of a computer screen 12 hours a day.
Alex hates Christmas, Santa. Also, Alex hates elephants and children's laughter and puppies. Guys, we're going to let you get back to your holiday. Thanks for listening, though, to the Snapchat on this Christmas day from Snappy and Cozy yourself. Myself, don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Happy holidays! Have a good one. Have a great one, Alex. And what is your outro?
Happy snapping, baby.
Merry snapping.
Boom!